I do believe I may be more moderate in tone than some of the people running for office, but I am betting that people don't want the loudest voice anymore. They've had that right now. That's the guy in the White House. That they want someone who's going to be honest with them and tell them that, no, we're not going to erase rich kids' college debt. We're not going to do that, even though some of my opponents have put that forward as their proposal.
And joining me now is Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat from Minnesota. Good to see you.
Thanks for coming.
Coming on set, a rare, brief respite here in Washington, huh?
Here we are.
Let me ask a follow-up to what you said just there. What does that mean? I mean, do you feel as if there have just been way too many promises made, and that there's going to be a negative fallout for this eventually for the Democrats?
I don't think there'll be a negative fallout eventually, because I think we will unify behind a candidate. I think that should be me, and make clear the differences we have with a president who has now told over 10,000 lies, and most importantly, hasn't had the back of the people. Some of the people who voted for him, the drug prices are still going up, college costs are still out of hand, all kinds of problems. But for me, what I meant by that is that we need to have a candidate that will lead, that will look people in the eye and tell them the truth, and that isn't going to make a bunch of promises that they can't keep. And I truly think they want something different than Donald Trump.
You have touted yourself as a get-it-done kind of senator. You have not shied away.
Based on my record.
You have not shied away from saying, hey, I've gotten some bills passed that, yes, President Trump has signed. It's been a rough summer of credibility with this president. And there's many Democrats out there that say, you know what, don't work with him anymore. You're coming back to Congress. You guys got a lot on your plate. Are you still willing to work with him?
Right now, right in front of us are two major issues. One is protecting our elections. I have led that effort with Senator Langford, and we want to get this bill passed to make sure that those states that don't have backup paper ballots are pushed to get those backup paper ballots. If the administration is willing to sign off on that bill, that would be good, but it has to be strong enough. Secondly, on gun safety, 3 bills sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk. I don't think you need to negotiate those bills, because they passed my bill on closing the boyfriend loophole to protect victims of domestic abuse from gun violence. That passed with 33 Republican votes in the House. So I would think the easiest path forward here is McConnell just takes that background check, 2 other bills, puts them up, and we get them done. I think it's obscene that while we have ordinary people showing such extraordinary courage, protecting their babies, running to these scenes of gun shootings, that there is not the courage in the White House to get this done.
You heard, I think you may have heard Senator Blunt say, well, Senator Schumer said if everything's not considered, then nothing's going to be considered. Yeah. Where are you on that?
I love Senator Blunt. We work together all the time, but I am tired of this game of whack-a-mole that is really playing with people's lives in whatever the next mass shooting is going to be. And so I think what you do as a leader, what Mitch McConnell should do, is call those bills up. Let's get them done. We've got the majority of Trump voters in a poll that want to see background checks, Chuck. The majority of hunters that want to see background checks. Give me a break. This is just about the NRA and promises that they made to the NRA. This is raw politics, and we need to call them out on it.
Big debate this week. There's been a lot of ways people have written about the candidates not named Biden, Warren, and Sanders. New York Times saying it's a big moment for all of you candidates not named, those 3. How do you view it?
I view it that there's a major debate coming up, and there'll be another one after that. I am on that debate stage. There's only 10 people on that stage. I'm only one of 2 candidates from the Midwest. To me, having campaigned through this summer, seeing people focused on Little League games and all kinds of other things, this is the moment where Americans are going to tune in and make some decisions. And I've got the case that we don't want to just win in this election. We want to win big. We don't want to find out we win at 4 in the morning or the next day. We want to win big and also win the U.S. Senate. And the way you do that is with a candidate that has a proven record of bringing in independents and moderate Republicans that deserted our party in 2016 for Donald Trump. You make the case to them, you add to an ignited Democratic base that wants to win big, and you win big and you win back the U.S. Senate. That is the recipe to getting all of these things done on climate change and immigration reform.
Why do voters who perhaps share your view of this electability issue right now view Joe Biden as that electable candidate?
They know him. I mean, Vice President Biden has been in leadership for many, many years. they don't know me as well. That's why this
You think
fall
you're
is
stronger
my
than him?
opportunity.
You would be stronger than him?
I think I would be a very strong candidate. I am the only one
didn't
out
say
there.
Stronger than him.
Okay.
No, I didn't say that.
I believe
Yeah.
I'm stronger than all the other candidates,
Right.
or I wouldn't be running. All right.
Fair enough.
But I believe that when you look at the Midwest and Wisconsin and Michigan, Iowa, and Pennsylvania, these states that we want to win, that we have to win, you've got to go with someone that has that track record and can relate to these voters and also can get a high voter turnout.
It's a sort of a weird dichotomy you're seeing. The polls are saying one thing about what Democrats want in Joe Biden. Crowds are saying another thing. There's a lot of activism. Obviously, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders always are doing a lot of crowd building, and they get some large crowds. Why do you think the grassroots is so much more excited about that, or it seems perceived, than they are about just winning?
I think it is too early to base campaigns on one event or one tweet or anything like this, or these viral moments. To me, these are what they are. They are moments. What you want is someone that can win in the long haul. I have built operations in New Hampshire and in Iowa. I've gotten endorsements coming in every week. Former head of the corn growers in Iowa, former attorney general in New Hampshire. And I think this is how you build success. You look at successful nominees in the past, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton. They were not chosen to win at this moment in time.
And here's another thing that all of that usually has happened, and it hasn't happened here, which is we don't have a new generation that's in the top tier yet. Why is that?
Again, I think it is early. People want to win so badly, right? So they look at the names that they know, the people that have been around a while. And it is going to take this fall and these next 5-6 months, that's a long time in politics, for them to get to know the rest of us.
Afghanistan, it's obviously talks are now off. You have heard this. This is a bipartisan exhaustion when it comes to Afghanistan. You heard Senator Blunt's not the only person who says if you stay, it feels like nothing's going to get better, but if you leave, it'll get worse. Where are you in Afghanistan?
I think we need to bring our troops home. There are kids now that are being deployed there that weren't even born when we went into Afghanistan. But that being said, as I was listening to the lead up in your show about the Sharpie Gate and about, of course, what he did with Greenland, and we all keep focusing on that with good reason, it's so crazy. But meanwhile, he is hurting our credibility around the world. Yes, you negotiate with the Afghan government and the Taliban, but you don't treat this like some kind of game show when you're dealing with terrorists. He clearly wanted this showman's moment of having them come to Camp David when he didn't even have a complete ceasefire. He didn't have the deal done. And then he does a tweet late on Saturday saying, blaming them, it's over. Give me a break. This is exactly what he did with Kim Jong-un, bringing a hot dish to the dictator next door across the DMZ. You deal with your allies. The world is watching. We need to bring some credibility back into our foreign policy.
Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat from Minnesota. Thanks for coming on, sharing your views.
Chuck.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.